Good morning. Please rise and embody your spirit for our gathering song. Number 368, Now Let Us Sing. This was written by an anonymous composer who named the tune Robeson in honor of the prophetic voice and magnificent bass voice of singer and activist Paul Robeson. Let us sing for justice and freedom.
Of Good morning. Good morning. I am so glad to see some of you here today. And we'll all be swimming home later together. Welcome to the Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm the Reverend Leslie Takahashi, and my pronouns are she and her. And we are so glad to have folks here and on our live stream this morning and in the Borton Hall. So we're glad that there are different ways that we can gather. And if you're visiting with us or returning for a second or third visit, we are so glad to have you with us this morning as well, in whatever form that takes. Welcome. If you have not yet signed a visitor card, please take a moment and do so, either online or you can do so in the hall, which you can get to without walking outside after the service. If you are ready to consider perhaps deepening your relationship with the congregation, please, also in the hall, you can sign up for our Connecting You and UU and MDUC series, and the next one will be coming up in a couple weeks. So we are grateful to have all of you here. For those of you in need of a listening ear, our pastoral listeners are on campus, I think, in light of the storm, but normally they're over here near the water column during the offertory, which lets you identify them. We have a lot going on today. One very important thing is that Travis McPhee and Lynn Basquette have been working very hard on our second round of our radical orientation, which will be at 1 p.m. in the Children's Chapel, a chance for us to learn more about how to actually embrace the subject of today's service, which is pluralism. And then also at 1 in the Owl Room, I will be leading a conversation around a card game called Go Wish. And that game is intended to have us have conversations about what we want to have happen at the end of life. And may I just say, as a minister, going through these last couple years, that it is never too soon to have that conversation with yourself and with people who you love. And you can always have it again, but it is an important conversation, and so I hope that some of you will join us. I want to say to those of you online that because it is an actual physical card game, I wasn't able to figure out how to do it virtually, but we'll figure out a way if there's interest in the next time we do it. So, thanks to all who helped last week to write the notes in Borton Hall for the Trinity breakfast bags next month. I thought we had done really, really well, and then Rodney informed me that we need 100 notes. So a few more people could write a few notes today. That would be lovely, because we'll be putting those together next week. And most importantly, welcome to this beloved community.
Good morning to everybody. I'm Jim Lincoln. I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. My pronouns are he, him, his. Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church is a welcoming faith community, as we all know. We begin our services by reading our mission together. We bring to life our Unitarian Universalist values as we seek truth and work for justice, nurture compassion and courage, reach out to each other and to our larger community of faith, bridge the divisions that wound the human family, transform ourselves and our world. It says here, January is a great time to get involved, and I'm sure that was true. This happens to be February, and I have full confidence that February is a wonderful time to get involved as well. Actually, any month is a great time to get involved in this church. So in order to do that, check out the weekly email and Beacon newsletter for the many, many things that are happening around MDUUC. We're so glad to have you with us. Our expectation is that those who are inside are vaccinated and fully boosted and have no symptoms of any of the communicable things going around. And I think that means stuff like viruses and bacteria, not, warm feelings and the like. Let's see, a few announcements. Thanks to everyone who participated in the congregational meeting last week. It was very much appreciated, and we're so glad to have had your participation. The next congregational forum is scheduled for the third Sunday of this month, February. And please mark your calendar for Saturday, March 9th, which is the date of our fellowship event. And welcome. It's great to be together.
So our theme today is about our value of pluralism, our shared value of pluralism. So as you introduce yourself to others and say good morning, say something that you appreciate about that person.
Hi, I'm Travis, and my pronouns are he and him. Would those young and young at heart please come forward? Would those young and young at heart please come forward? Thank you. Good to see you all. So today we're going to practice something very powerful, which is sharing our feelings with someone who is really listening. When we share our feelings and are listened to, it can bring calmness, relief from pain, and peace. But before we start, I have a question. Can you feel many emotions at the same time? I definitely have times when I feel many emotions at the same time. I believe that is because our feelings are pluralistic, which means that there are many of them, and multiple feelings can be our true feelings all at once. That's kind of hard to imagine, but maybe you can feel it. Sometimes I even feel sadness and happiness at the same time. Has that ever happened to you? No. Have you ever felt sadness and happiness at the same time? No. That's good. That means it's diverse. Okay, so for this exercise, we're going to go ahead and pick a partner. And if you're feeling courageous, I invite you to pick a partner who's a different age than yourself. And you're going to decide who's going to be the first listener and who's going to be the first speaker. And I invite everyone to do this if you feel called. And once you find your partner, go ahead and take 3 soft, slow breaths together. So now is the time where there might be like a background music as we like move to our partner, but not necessarily for real. Okay. So one person is the speaker, and the other is the listener. So the listener is going to listen quietly without talking, with full attention to the speaker. And the speaker, you're going to notice how you feel, and you're going to tell the listener. For example, you could say, I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling angry. And then the speaker, you're just going to describe what that feels like to feel that way. Okay, go ahead. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. So after sharing, the speaker is going to take 3 more slow, soft breaths. And then switch roles and repeat the exercise. So now the speaker's the listener and the listener is the speaker. And the same thing, the new speaker, you're sharing your feelings and how you feel inside. Okay, I'm going to usher us towards transition. So we'll take all partners can take 3 slow, soft breaths together. And I just want to say, looking out at this happening, my heart is so warmed. It's beautiful to see. So after everyone's finished, make sure you thank each other. Thank you for sharing and listening this morning. It's such an amazing practice. I hope you have an exciting day with lots of joy. And now we're lighting the chalice.
I'm lighting the chalice with a quote from Jimmy Carter. We become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams.
Good morning. My name is Marina, and I use she, her pronouns. And today, I have a story for you called Something Someday. And if you want to see the pictures, you can look up at our screen up there. Yeah. You are told that this is not a problem, but you are sure there's something wrong. They can look at him up there. You are told that this cannot be fixed, but you know that you can help. You are told that this is too big for you, but you've seen the tiniest things. They can make a huge difference. You are told that this won't work, but how will you know if you never try? You're told to sit and wait. Raise your hand if you've been told to sit and wait. Yeah. But you know people have already waited too long. You're told that's what's going on. It's very, very sad. But you're not just sad. You're scared and confused. You're angry. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit hopeful.
You're told not to hope, but you keep hoping anyway. Sometimes you feel like you're all alone, but someday, somewhere, you find a friend, someone who will hope with you, who believes in your dream, someone who will fight with you. You make a promise to each other. You say, there is a problem, but it's our problem together, so we can fix it together. The problem is big, but together we are bigger. You make another friend and tell them, it's okay to be sad. And they tell you, sometimes we'll lose, but that's all right. We'll try again. And so you do. Together, working. Together, beginning, over and over and over and over. Until you're no longer beginning, you're winning. Suddenly, there's something you're sure is right, something you know you helped fix, something small that changed, something big, something that worked, something that makes you feel hopeful, happy, and loved, something that is not a dream, but the day you live in, something that makes you smile as you tell someone else. The end. And now I'd like to invite you to sing our children and youth to their activities.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness that we learn light your hearts till we return.
Good morning. My name is Les Polgar, and my pronouns are he and him. Pluralism. Brother, can you spare a dime? Go ahead, check your pocket or wallet. I'm doing it as I'm talking, and see if you have a dime. If not, $1 from your wallet will do. Here it is. I have a single dime. Well, on the dime, on the reverse side of FDR's silhouette, in tiny print, it says E pluribus unum. It's up there on the screen, a little bit bigger than the dime. Latin scholars among us know that it really should say ex pluribus unum. I'm not a Latin scholar. But then it would have 14 letters and not the 13, which signified the original 13 states. Out of many, one. This motto on the Great Seal of the United States, on the ribbon the eagle holds in its beak. Before it adjourned on July 4th, 1776, I remember it well, the Continental Congress of the newly independent United States passed this resolution. Resolved that Dr. Franklin, Mr. J. Adams, and Mr. Jefferson be a committee to bring in a device for a seal for the United States of America. This first committee submitted its design a month later, in August of 1776, but Congress tabled their proposal. Apparently, Franklin, Jefferson, and Adams were not such hot committee members. So there was a second committee in 1780. Nice try. So there was a third committee in May of 1782. Congress was still not satisfied. In June of 1782, Congress passed the work and the recommendations of all three committees to Charles Thomson, the Secretary of Congress. You see, he had to have a seal as secretary, so for him, he had skin in the game. He made a few adjustments, and the first die of the Great Seal was cut from brass later that year. 6 years to get one seal. Good grief. Now, we Unitarian Universalists rival our founders in how hard it is to produce unity. Pluralism may seem difficult, but melding a unified whole is even harder. It takes serious work, and it took just such work if we think back to last week's congregational meeting, and I tip my hat to all our staff and leaders, ministerial and lay. Thank you very much. We UUs tend to see pluralism, diversity, as a series of check boxes on a to-do list, with each box bearing the label of an intersectionalized subgroup. Once we've checked all the boxes, we can smile and say, we're done. We're pluralistic. We're inclusive. Yay! Nah. So how do we build pluralism right here at Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church? We do it the same way we build anything that is meant to last. If it's a building, it's one brick at a time. If it's a congregation, it's one person at a time, one family at a time. So after this service, let us socialize over coffee in Borton Hall. But instead of seeking out a familiar face or someone or two who resemble you, do this instead. Walk over to that person or couple or mom and child standing alone or on the periphery of all this social buzzing going on, and also avoiding eye contact. They may have no name tag. Maybe their age or clothing or skin color or hairstyle differ from yours. Go over and smile. Introduce yourself clearly, no mumbling, and welcome someone you do not already know. This is radical hospitality. This is what welcoming congregation truly means. This is pluralism practiced in the real world, not by categories, but one person at a time. It's so American. It is very UU. Mostly, it is who we are when we are at our best. And in that spirit, I call us to worship this morning.
Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our congregational song, number 1020, Woyaya. UU singer and educator Isaye Maria Barnwell uses this song by the 1970s Ghanaian Caribbean pop group Osibisa to teach African American techniques of congregational singing. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the
It is the custom in this congregation when we lose a member to death that we light a candle from our chalice. And today I am lighting a candle for Ingeborg Neinhold. Ingeborg has been a member of this congregation for 17 years. An immigrant from Germany, she worked for many years as a physician for Chevron. And in her later years, she became something of a recluse, so we have not seen her for quite a few years, though she and I would usually have a conversation once or twice a year. I am grateful that we can remember her and that we are holding her life in our hearts because she did not have family on this side of the ocean. And I'm actually asking Scott Schrader to come forward for a moment. This is a little unusual, but Ingeborg did not have family and was somewhat isolated from most of her friends. So it was through her association with Scott that Travis and I learned of her medical condition several weeks ago and were able to visit her in the last weeks of her life. And I'm deeply grateful to Scott for making that possible for us and for her. So I wanted to ask him to light a special candle, and with our gratitude for you as well, Scott. Thank you. Tom Taylor is lighting a candle this morning. He says, Friday was the last day of my business of tailors, nailers, and slam homes. I have been a general contractor for 38 years, and I'm entering into bankruptcy. I'm working to let go of the terror and shame, and I appreciate your support, which you have, Tom. Thank you. I'm asking Reverend Rodney to light a candle for Terry Mounts, a longtime friend of this congregation. He let me know this week that his stepfather, Bill Bull, died of a head injury following a heart attack, and our thoughts are with Terry during this difficult time. And I'm asking Reverend Rodney to light a candle. I asked him to light this candle. I want to be really clear. But it's a candle of joy today to celebrate Rodney's receipt of full fellowship in the ministry of Unitarian Universalism this week. I told him that people might want to know. Anyway, Rodney writes, he's grateful for the Committee on Ministry, for Reverend Leslie, his mentor, Reverend Lynn Ungar, and all the people in this community who made it possible to submit 3 years' worth of annual evaluations of his ministry to meet this goal. This is more a candle of joy, he says, for this incredible community than anything else. It's a both and. We'll talk about that later. And I ask Rodney to light a candle for all those joys and sorrows that remain in the sanctuary of our hearts, unexpressed but still held in the embrace of this loving community. And one for this deeply troubled, divided, but precious world of which we are a part. And let us take this into our time of our meditative song.
Please remain seated as you join us in our meditation song, Lia Toulouse.
El
As we enter into our time of meditation and reflection, I'm going to invite you to do something a little different, which is to read along with me. These are the words of the great religious educator, Sophia Lyons-Foss. It matters what we believe. I'm going to read the top of each slide, and I'm going to invite you to join me on the bottom. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness, the feeling of being especially privileged. Some beliefs are like shadows clouding children's days and fears of unknown calamities. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. So I invite you to take those words from our great Unitarian educator into your hearts as we enter into a brief period of reflection. I invite you to join me in the spirit of meditation, looking deep into your heart for just another minute. I invite you to say these words to yourself. I affirm who I am, what I believe, what my experiences have been. I affirm my beliefs and honor the life events which have shaped them. And now I invite you to recognize yourself as part of this gathered community, even if this is the first time you have gathered with us, part of this larger body of humanity of which we are representative today. I invite you to hear these words as if you're speaking them to those around you. I affirm who you are, what you believe, and what your experiences have been. I understand that you have had your beliefs and life events which have shaped what you know, and I pledge myself to try to understand. How would our world be if we could offer these affirmations to one another? So I invite you, if you're willing, to join me in one final affirmation. I affirm who others are, those who would be in relationship with me, and those whom I would seek relationship from, those who would wonder what we could create anew together if only we could truly hold our truths together in relationship. May we be the ones to make it so.
the simple things we take for granted every day. Listen, I can walk, I can talk, I can use my mind. Okay, I'm amazing, I'm incredible, I'm a miracle, a dream come true. I'm marvelous, I'm beautiful, and guess what? So are you. That don't mean we're better than anyone or anything. It's a call to come together and accept responsibility and be amazing. Just be incredible. You're a miracle, a dream come true. Marvelous, you are beautiful. Guess what? So are you. Guess what? So are you. That's right. So are you.
I'm moving from, oh. Hi, good morning, hello. I'm moving from my music hat to my board hat, so just so you're not confused. Good morning, I'm Nasa Matt, a member of your Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are she and her. MDUC leaders, both volunteers and staff members, work diligently throughout the year to be careful and attentive to stewards of the congregation and its funds. Countless meetings, reports, documents, and budgets are necessary to maintain the health of our organization, especially one that has endured for so many years. We depend on our tools and our teams to track where every dollar goes, and they do just that. But the gifts you make to our weekly offering or through your annual pledge represent far more than a line on a spreadsheet. Your contributions are a tangible commitment to the mission and vision of this congregation. Each time you give, you renew your commitment, and as a result, your support is entwined with all that we believe, all that we do here together. This is its own special gift. In the spirit of trust and generosity, I invite the ushers to come forward and gratefully receive our offerings. Please join me in dedicating the offering. The words are on our screen. To the work of this community in transforming ourselves and our world, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings.
Last week, I had an experience I haven't had in a while. I was on an online form, and it wanted me to check a box for my racial identity. A single box. Where is the both and of this? It brought back a lot of feelings for me. I was fuming a little bit on the inside, and then I found myself spending a little time clicking to try to get another option, a second option. Didn't work. Click, 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 no avail. Many of us hold the both and for lots of reasons. Because of our life experience, because of what we've known, because of the roles we play in different places. We know that we're strong and vulnerable. We're driven and silly. We're capable and sometimes frightened in this polycrisis time and world. We're hardworking and we enjoy a day of sloth like nobody's business sometimes. We can hold, despite Travis's conversation with our children, both sadness and joy. We are realists and of this world, and we so with all of our heart long for hope. Now, 23andMe confirms that I am truly a multi-and. I'm 50% Northwest European, which is the multi part, and 50% Japanese. Just 50-50. Now, a professor in college once noted to me that people who are multiracial are interesting to work with because they hold multiple ideas at once. In those days, as I didn't usually encounter people who thought it was a good thing to be racially ambiguous, I was intrigued to hear something actually positive about the aspect of me that most people saw as a downside or a deficit. So after a while, I began to realize that the both and was, in fact, one of my superpowers. Holding multiple viewpoints in tension with one another is actually the only way I've ever known to be from my earliest days. My late friend, Delandria Williams, the former moderator of the UUA, and I had a conversation before she died about pluralism. Alandria never said anything halfway. If she said it to you, it was like, no, this is how it is. And so she said to me, we don't want diversity in Unitarianism. We don't want multiculturalism here as our goal. We want pluralism because pluralism is the relationship between all the different things. And I never forgot her saying that. The ability to acknowledge and hold multiple truths. Now, Diana Echt of the Pluralism Project at Harvard University might say a little bit more calmly, pluralism is an ethic of living together in a diverse society, not mere tolerance or relativism, but the real encounter of differing commitments. So we're in relationship. It's all about the relationship that requires us to allow the interactions that will make us more open-hearted and minded. And I wanted us to remember the words of Sophia Lyons-Foss because I think that in a community such as ours, there are some beliefs that perhaps we're not as open to. The ones that aren't expansive, that don't open our hearts. But we need to be able to travel on the open gateway, pliable, expansive, and sunshiny beliefs of which Foz reminded us. When in relationship with one another and centered around love, we can honor one another in the spirit of what the poet and writer Rainer Maria Rilke called love. And he said this, love consists in this, that two solitudes protect and border and then greet one another. And as the Writer Bell Hooks expands on this idea. To know love, we have to tell the truth to ourselves and to others. Commitment to truth-telling lays the groundwork for the openness and honesty that is the heartbeat of love. The openness and honesty that is the heartbeat of love. So pluralism, were we to continue to step into it, to continue to embrace it, could mean that the atheist could celebrate the theist and the theist the atheist, and that the person whose Jewish roots matter could be in dialogue with the person who is a Christian or a Muslim, or that the person who is exploring the sacred they feel in the natural world, and today we are seeing that power, are we not, could explore the truth from somebody who finds human knowledge held in community to be the biggest inspiration. Someone who has experienced marginalization because of their identity in our larger culture, the way my late friend Elandria Williams, who was of African descent, did, could talk with someone who has had a life of feeling mostly welcomed and accepted in all their spaces and settings of life. Pluralism could allow us to talk about the ways of knowing across generations where our opportunities may feel very different from one generation to another. In the spirit of beloved Unitarian theologian Henry Nelson Wyman, who I might just talk about a little bit more at our class on Wednesday night, may we aim to engage in the ferment of what he called creative interchange. He believed that new good was only created across difference. When good increases, he said, a process of reorganization is going on, generating new meanings, integrating them with the old, endowing each event as it occurs with a wider range of reference. That happens, he said, when we are able to see our differences as the reason for our continued conversation.
In undergrad, I was a member of our formal choral program at our school, the Rochester Institute of Technology in upstate New York. And I came to the choir with decent training in vocal performance arts from my high school years. When I began, I was very excited about participating in a choir at the collegiate level. But I quickly became very disappointed in the lack of structure involved, and my apathy toward the program grew. And I became confused as to what to do. One very cold night, I was walking back from choir practice to my dorm, and I saw a flyer. And the flyer was offering auditions for the Rochester Institute of Technology Gospel Ensemble. My heart leaped with joy. Having spent a large amount of time in the Baptist church, I was incredibly familiar with 80s and 90s gospel singers like Amy Grant, Sandy Patty, and Larnell Harris, just to name a few. I wrote down the date and time for the auditions and went back to the dormitory building, excited about the potential for a new music opportunity in my life. If I could make these auditions, it also would mean that I could quit the choral program. Also something I wanted to do. Fast forward 3 or 4 days to me making the way into the auditorium where the auditions for the ensemble were being held. I can still remember opening the double doors to make my way into the room. I was full of excitement and anticipation of being with like-minded folk who valued songs that reminded us of our humanity and our connection to something bigger than ourselves. So I opened the door slowly, crept into the back of the room, and as I looked around, a wave of anxiety and fear hit me really hard. I instantly felt I had made a terrible mistake and misunderstood the sign. Not a single person in the room was white, but rather all were African American. I could feel my face flush red, and my instinct was to turn and leave the room. Having spent most of my life at that time in predominantly white spaces, I simply didn't know what to do. I was probably seconds away of turning and leaving due to my complete sense of overwhelm. And then I heard a voice call out, welcoming me to sit by her during the auditions, and so I took my seat. That simple act of kindness kept me in the room, a room which transformed my life. She's probably not watching right now, and truthfully, she already knows how I feel about her, but just on the off chance she catches this on YouTube, thank you, Aisha Pons, for making me a better person. Through her love and support, and under the tutelage of our amazing choir director, Wardero Lewis, who incidentally is still the Gospel Ensemble's director after 33 years, I spent the next 4 years of my undergraduate career worshiping in predominantly black spaces, singing black gospel music, and unlearning decades of bad education and bad social conditioning when it comes to race relations here in the United States. I was given the opportunity to learn how diverse beliefs, perspectives, and experiences make communities more powerful. And in a recent article in the Journal of Liberal Religion, author David Tarbell argues that pluralism is not just tolerating or accepting differences, but actually celebrating them. He specifically lists out all of the different affinity groups within our larger Unitarian Universalist Association. Groups like the UU Christians, the UU Humanists, UU Buddhists, UU Pagans, Trans UUs, Black Lives UUs, and Diverse Religious Unitarian Universalist Multicultural Ministry, or DRUM, just to name a few. Tarbell proposes that pluralism enables us to move beyond the assumption that truth is singular and knowable at all. By engaging instead in dialogue with individuals who hold different beliefs, we gain more comprehensive understanding of what truth really is. The interplay of diverse perspectives expands our awareness, pushing the boundaries of our knowledge and enriching our own spiritual journeys. Over time, I was able to demonstrate to my colleagues in the Gospel Ensemble that I shared an appreciation for the connection to something larger than myself, something that collectively together we called God. Through many shared differences with one another, and even though we had them, this commonly held belief created a bond. I spent 4 years learning about my own white privilege and witnessing it manifest in ways while surrounded by American Black culture. That experience was uniquely formative, and as a Unitarian Universalist, I now can appreciate all of the very difficult conversations and situations I found myself in over those 4 years. While various groups like the Gospel Ensemble and the UU affinity groups I just mentioned all have to have some kind of in-group cohesion, they must also have a recognition and ultimate understanding of truth that keeps them anchored to their larger frames. The Gospel Ensemble, while based in the Black church and experience, used Christianity to bind to wider audiences. And each of the UU groups I mentioned above have Unitarian Universalism as a way to collectively bind them together. Or out of many, come one. We have become a faith that values challenges to our assumptions and encourages us to question the status quo. We strive to understand and embrace the idea that of seeing confrontation and different perspectives as adversarial. Instead, we reframe that to see these situations as opportunities for growth and involvement. pluralism has definitely helped me to better understand the difference between appreciation and appropriation as well. For 4 years of undergrad, I sang every song with conviction and admiration, and often felt a deep connection to the lyrics and underlying message of liberation and freedom. But time has allowed me to look at that admiration and the connected feeling and realize that while it is authentic, it was based on my own queer perspective, my own queer expression of oppression, which, while similar to the Black experience in America, its manifestation is vastly different, and the historical origins are just not the same. And I can say now that while I have the same adoration and connection to many of the lyrics and messages in the songs present in gospel music, I recognize that the origin of pain and the origin of the great joy are often expressed in the lyrics and the music have nothing to do with me nor my heritage. In fact, quite the opposite. My ancestors may have contributed significantly to that pain and joy, and I may unintentionally uphold systems that continue to do the same. As a result, I am very careful about publicly performing or embracing the genre of music without something being made clear. That celebration of anything without connection and contextualization is what I call weak pluralism. If I were to ever publicly perform gospel music again, I would really feel the need to make sure that there was the context of that music and historical accuracy of its origin were properly explained. More importantly, I would want an existing connection to the community who upholds those wonderful songs and messaging. Without context and connection, a type of pluralism that we kind of heard about earlier is really just an elevation of diversity, checking off boxes as we go. We want something deeper, more meaningful. More importantly, our social justice work that anchors a lot of what we do here in this community is really not very strong if we don't create those actual connections and relationships, as Reverend Leslie said. There must be a balance between appreciation and appropriation experienced by any of us who try to embrace pluralism as a lived value. Without proper contextualization, those of us not part of the in-group don't have to do the hard work of understanding the history and the harm that is often perpetuated against an in-group that brings about that same beauty and strength that we are trying to honor, be that food, clothing, music, language, or other attributes that we are lifting up. What I now realize is that much of the gospel music that I learned and appreciated originated from pain and angst, and the ultimate strength gained from those trials and tribulations belong to the Black experience. It is something that as a white person, I must work very hard to balance when embracing my love for gospel music, which still exists today. These deep connections that we create, be it with the gospel ensemble, with one another at coffee hour, or in our larger community with our community partners, deepen the relationships and protect those of us in the out-group from being simply sympathetic to what we are trying to lift up. We are going for something stronger, deeper, more of an empathy, an understanding of the other. Today at 1 o'clock in the Children's Chapel, we're offering our class Radical Orientation as a way to help all of us shift our hearts into a more empathetic space while doing all of the work of justice that we do and community building around here. I hope that you can join Travis and Len for that time together. It's a really good class. In my experience, it is all, as Reverend Leslie said, about the relationships. It's about the deep connections. Those connections are how we often expand our hearts and minds in new ways. It's a sentiment shared in the writing of Tarbell as well. This is the actual power of plurality. The power doesn't lie in some academic or theoretical definition, and it's not found in some catchy Latin statement printed on our money, meant only, by the way, for white, wealthy male landowners who were straight. But it is, in fact, experienced in the difficulty of sitting with difference, finding commonality, and growing our hearts and minds together in collaboration, seeing one another fully and authentically. May we be the ones to bring empathy to our work in being a more perfect union here in our congregation, in our county, in our state, in our country, and hopefully in our world.
Please rise and body your spirit for our closing song, number 1050, Jazz Alleluia. UU composer Tom Benjamin wrote this simple Alleluia setting based on the famous canon of Johann Pachelbel. We're going to sing it through, and then we're going to invite you to choose something that your neighbor is not singing to sing. There are 3 lines, the words are all the same, but the melody changes. Pick something your neighbor is not going to sing. You can do it.
We're extinguishing the light of our chalice today with these words from the Article 2 Commission. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect.